All right, here we go. Welcome to our second round of the SuperMotocross World Championship here taking place at Chicagoland Speedway tomorrow. We'll have lots of activities here today. This is our pre-race press conference. We're your SMX Insiders, Jason Wygant and Jason Thomas. We have a lot to talk about with SMX, but JT, we also have some news that broke just yesterday, and we're going to get to talk to some athletes that have a big task ahead beyond the SMX Championship.
Yeah, I think we're about to answer a question that everybody's been asking for quite a while. One of the biggest events of the calendar year. And, yeah, I'm excited. I'll be headed over to France here in October as well.
Okay, so we were going to kick off this press conference with the official in-person announcement of Team USA for the Motocross of Nations in 2023. Let's welcome to the stage with a round of applause Mike Pelletier from the AMA, team manager Roger DeCoster, and our three athletes who are going to step up for Team USA: Aaron Plessinger, RJ Hampshire, and Christian Craig. All right. And again, team just announced yesterday, obviously, the original plan, if you folks were following. We wanted to announce this Mike Pelletier at the Ironman National. I know it has not been a smooth process, but the best news of all is there will be Team USA, and you will be going to defend the championship in France.
Yeah, 100%. You know, this took us a little longer than we had hoped for. I think that's an understatement. Usually we have this out 2 months ago, but different factors led to this, and we got three guys up here that are stepped up to the cause, and we're really appreciative. And I just want to thank Roger, too, for his contribution, and it'd be impossible without him and his group. And I say, Roger, we probably spent a few sleepless nights over the past couple of weeks trying to put this together, but I think we landed on an incredible team. And I'll start with the MXGP class. We have Aaron Plessinger here, team captain. He's excited. I know a lot of these guys off the track and on the track, and I know not only do they have the ability to get this done, but they all want to go, and they're all really all in for America and representing our country. So that's awesome. And Aaron always comes up first part of the year. He's in our truck wanting to go and see if we've selected the team by Anaheim. So glad we could do this with Aaron here. And RJ was the same. He came in through the truck all year long, and I know these guys really want to do it. And a fact about RJ is when we didn't send the team in 2021, we actually had him on the team. And unfortunately didn't go due to COVID. So this is a little bit of retribution for RJ too. And Christian stepping up to the plate here. He's been out for most of the season, but man, are we appreciative of him stepping up to the plate and representing our country and sending a team, and we're really excited.
Cool. I'll open up to media in a second. I'll ask you, Roger, how important was it after finally getting back to the top of the mountain last year after a long time to not give up, to figure out a way to have some sort of team and not just hand over the trophy?
Yeah, I felt that things have come all the way around from the back to the early 80s when we could not get a team together. And this year the reasons were a little bit different. Was there several riders that are switching teams for next year. We have only 1 week in between the last SMX race in California at the Coliseum and the nation. Rider injuries. So when I asked these three guys, they were no hesitation, and they were really happy to go represent their country. And I know we're going to get criticized that we should have sent somebody different, but I would like those experts to come and tell us how to do it and show. And I want to remember people that in 2009, we had a situation where the team was really criticized a lot also, that it was not the best team, it was a B team and all that. And that was with Dungy, who was raced his first 450 race there, if I can remember well, and Tedesco and Weimer, and we ended up winning, and that was one of the best memories I have from the nations, and I have done quite a few of those. There was such a big crowd and a lot of excitement, and I hope that maybe we can do something similar, and I'm sure these guys are going to give it 100%.
Okay, we'll open up to the media here for questions for Team USA, which is the winningest team in the history of the event. Go ahead.
Yeah, Kellen Brower with Racetracks. Christian, for you, first of all, congratulations. For you, when did you start hearing that this is a potential for you? When were you called about it? And then as well, getting back on the bike, what level of preparation have you had to get ready for this?
Well, I was never called about it, but I've been out for a while. I think everybody knows I haven't raced in a while, but I have been healthy. I've been riding on the bike for over a month now. And it became a reality a week or two ago. I understand I wasn't the first choice, probably second, third choice, but with everything going on, I raised my hand, let Roger know that I was up for it if, they needed somebody. And, next thing you know, a couple days later, we're in a meeting and figuring it out. So, this is definitely an honor. It's something that I look forward to either watching or being a part of every year. I was almost a part of it last year, but, some politics got in the way. So, happy to be here. I'm healthy. I'll have plenty of time on the bike. Lots of motos under my belt, so I think you're going to get 3 guys that wear their hearts on their sleeves and guys that are going to give it their all.
Jim Kimball with Motocross Action. Just a quick question with each of the riders. Guess beginning with you, Aaron. I think you were probably somewhat picked early in this process. You were a logical choice. How has it been kind of waiting for the other riders to be selected?
I wasn't really that worried because I knew, we got some guys up here that really want to go to this race and really want to represent their country. And I knew, I didn't know this was going to be the lineup, but I knew somewhere along the line these guys would definitely step up, and I'm proud of them for doing that. And it was just kind of a waiting game. I wasn't really stressed out at all. I wasn't really nervous. I just I knew somebody was going to get picked, and I'm lucky to be up here with these guys who accepted the invitation.
And RJ, I think like Roger said, you were selected for a team previously, but due to COVID, we didn't go. I know from talking to you in the past, you've been really passionate about this. So now that it's kind of finally come to fruition, you've got to be excited.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Like it's, I've known about it for a while now. Same as kind of AP, but I just hope that we had the chance to go and put it out there. Like I'm American as it gets. So, like you said, I'm excited to go represent my country, and you're going to get our best.
And Christian, kudos to you. I mean, being off injured like you've been, and that's going to be your first race back. And I think every time a rider returns from injury, he's got all eyes upon him. So way to go. I think that's an awesome thing you've done.
Yeah, I got some pushback from some people, and obviously it's a big race for my first race back. But I am a veteran in the sport. I've had my fair share of injuries and came back from them, so I know what it's going to take. I know the motos I'm going to need to put in, and I'm up for this challenge. Though I am hired. I was hired by this team to race a dirt bike, and unfortunately, when I got hurt, I've been off the bike for a while now. So, this is something, obviously a big race, and I'm hired to race a dirt bike, so that's what I'm going to go do.
Maybe just a quick one with Roger. Roger, you kind of mentioned like the 80s back when you picked the team, and it was Team Honda. And, man, I can't imagine where we would be if you weren't involved with this team, because you've got to be putting a lot of like your company's responsibilities on the table and costs on the table.
Yeah, I don't look at it that way. I feel lucky to still be involved, and that they still want my help after all these years. The nation race has been in my memory the biggest race of the year. I remember when I was a teenager, looking at the magazines and all that, and when Team Sweden was really dominant. That was, I remember a race in Switzerland, in Wohlen. At that time, there was 5 riders per country, and Sweden came across the line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 abreast. So, Lars, your ancestors were amazing. Yeah, thanks.
Real quick, Roger, you might be able to answer this best, or maybe Mike. What is the schedule here? We'll have that weekend off. Are people going early, late? Are they just going to ride their bikes here that are shipped? Are they working with the KTM group over there? How's that all going to work to get ready for this?
Yeah, we don't have a firm plan on when they're going to ride. We'll decide that after this weekend. But basically the plan is to be ready a day or two after the Coliseum and go out probably to Glen Helen and put in some time there together.
And Mike, the other riders have mentioned it here. Aaron kind of on the team the whole time, but this whole thing has been so up in the air. It ends up with these three athletes. If someone says, hey, those might not have been the first guys picked, how do you respond to that with your chances to win this?
Yeah, we've seen some stuff on social media and everything, and you can't combat that, but it's going to be a tough task. The other countries are incredibly strong. But to answer your question, how I feel about that, I'd say I love it. I like being the underdogs. I think all these three guys do too, and I absolutely love that. And I think our sport's no different than all the other sports when it comes down to this, and I think there's no better motivation than when someone counts you out. And I'll leave it at that.
All right, there we go. That's Team USA, everybody. Round of applause. Thanks for stepping up.
Thank you.
Thank you. And these guys will be around today if you want more time, media. That's really cool. Christian Craig actually coming out, although he's not racing this weekend, just for media purposes, so that's great. Our transition here is going to be into the Super Mini portion of the program. We had a really fun race to watch with the 65 World All-Stars last week in Charlotte, and we're going to do it again, JT, and really kind of showcase maybe a part of the sport that not every top-level fan gets to see, and that family, up-and-coming amateur aspect of racing.
Well, they have a tough act to follow because the 65s last weekend put on a show. Watching those guys jump the triples and really excel to a level that I didn't think 65 riders were ready for. I will turn the stage over to you guys, but this is an awesome moment, and I'm sure you guys will be very excited.
We'll have a full gate full of Super Mini World All-Star riders. We've picked 5 to come on stage today. It's Levi Townley, Vincent Way, Seth Dennis, Grayson Townsend, and Darren Pine. I'll go to you first here, Vincent Way. Just talk about what a Super Mini bike is like. It's obviously a lot bigger than the 65s we saw last week. How do you think the bike will work on a track of this size with the Super Mini?
The track looks pretty awesome out there. It's pretty outdoorsy, a little bit of Supercross doubles, but the Super Mini's been ripping. Husqvarna put out front.
Seth Dennis, same thing. How do you think this track will work for a Super Mini?
I just walked the track not too long ago, and it looks really fun, actually. I can't wait to ride it. It looks really good for a Super Mini. It's definitely more tamed down than a normal Supercross, but definitely looking forward to try to put the KTM on the top.
Yeah, now to follow that, I have a question for anybody who wants to take this. How much Supercross prep did you do? Because that was the common theme we heard leaving Charlotte was everyone was riding Supercross, and it was a little bit less Supercrossy than they expected. This is a lot more motocross than we expected. So you guys going back to kind of motocross settings, and how much Supercross riding did you do?
I rode 4 days, but it's been good.
Yeah, so do you feel like you rode probably, cause looking at the track, I think you probably could have just gotten away with motocross. Like, are you like excited that it's more motocross, or were you looking forward to a Supercross experience?
I was good with both, but the track looks super fun, and it'll be good.
In the center here, we have Levi Townley. Your dad was a former Supercross champion of the sport. Ben, it's good to see you here. Really, hopefully the first race you get in America. What is the experience like overall? Forget the track and the racing, just to be part of this race under the lights and be in the United States. It's got to be pretty neat.
Yeah, it's walking the track. It's real big jumps, and it looks real cool. Just pits being under the garages like the factory boys. It's real cool.
And then what about that? Like, it's going to be packed grandstands, you'll be part of opening ceremonies, all that. It's got to be a pretty neat experience.
Yeah, it is. It's the nerves will rise, but it'll be really fun.
Cool. I'll ask you the same thing, Darren Pine. Just talk about being in the big show. You've raced big pressure races like Loretta Lynn's and whatnot, but I'm sure the atmosphere here is going to feel a little bit different. Do you think so?
Yeah, the stadium, it looks really big. it's going to be even crazier with all the people in it, but it should be really fun.
One more thing, I'll ask you, Pine, I think you raced an 85 at Loretta's, you were on an 85, so I'll ask both of you guys about that transition. Is it a big deal to go from 85 to Super Mini, or Vincent, have you really been riding both the whole time?
I've been riding both, like every single race except for Loretta's, so I'm not that new to a Super Mini, but, I mean, it's pretty new, and it's going to be fun.
Okay. For example, Darren, what's your situation, Super Mini and 85? The Super Minis are a little bigger.
Yeah, right after Loretta's, the week after Loretta's, we built a Super Mini, and I've, just been riding it a little bit. I did like 4 days on the Supercross track, and yeah.
Do you think, I'll go to you, Grayson Townsend, there in the end, do you think people might be surprised what you're able to jump and what you guys are able to do? Because you did those 4 days of Supercross. I'm sure you weren't too far off. It wasn't a struggle as much as people might think, oh, they're amateurs and mini cycles. Do you think people might be surprised what you're able to do?
Maybe. These Super Minis are pretty fast, so I'm not sure.
We'll find out. I mean, 65s jumped the triple last week, so I think you guys are capable of it. There's no doubt. All right, that's our World All-Stars of Super Mini. Thanks, gentlemen. A round of applause for these 5. And that's just a sample. Again, we'll have a full gate of Super Mini riders. And I want to mention that these All-Star events, these World All-Stars, both the 65s last week and this Super Mini, this is all based on team managers of all the amateur teams recommending what riders they think could perform the best and put on the best show. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure with the spotlights literally on when we're racing here tomorrow night. So they picked the creme de la creme to be able to race and really showcase what amateur racing is all about. Now we move over to the pro side. We bring our top 10 currently ranked in the SMX 250 World Championship standings. These are based on our points after last weekend's race. And we'll open this up to the media here in just a second. These are familiar faces for most of you, including RJ, who's back. So it was a really fun and interesting time last weekend, everyone learning the tracks for the first time. I'll go to the obvious question with Joe Shimoda, where you won last week. Were you surprised about the track at all? Was there anything about last week's track or maybe what you've seen of this week that was different than you thought before you went to SMX?
Yeah, last week I kind of expected to be like that. It's going to be fast and a lot of checkup jumps and one line. But this weekend track looks way more outdoor. Not too much of Supercross rhythm sections, so I think it's going to be a lot faster. Definitely the start's going to be important.
Hunter Lawrence, not the weekend you probably wanted. Last weekend, starts, set you back a bit. What'd you do this week? You're coming off of 2 titles. It's been a great 2023, but to get back into this, SMX championship contention, you're right there. But just walk us through your week and how the preparation came for round 2.
Yeah, I think it's no secret. Obviously, I worked on starts this week. They weren't great last weekend. So, yeah, we want to rebound for sure and make sure we keep ourselves in, the top 3 and close, because obviously this one's double points. But the final one, I think whoever, in the top 5 wins the last one, obviously takes the cake. So, yeah, just looking to keep it on 2 wheels this time. Crashes don't help, so should be good.
Hayden Deegan, let's talk about your weekend. That was impressive. You won the very first moto. We got Hayden Deegan fans out here? Any fans in the back? Pumped on that first moto win? Second moto, I know not exactly what you want. So did you leave the track disappointed, or did you say to yourself, okay, I got my head wrapped around this SMX thing. This title is doable?
Yeah, it definitely sucked losing that second moto, but, we won the first ones. We left there with a red plate. We're tied, so not the ideal situation. But, yeah, come into this weekend and, just try to win.
Ryder DeFrancisco, it felt like a breakthrough moment last week. We've seen you get the starts and have the speed, but the staying power really showed up last weekend, and you could tell it really hit home after the race. What was different? Like what, were you able to feel something different in the moment, or just things kind of stay together there?
I think things just stayed together. Put myself up there in that good position. Obviously, my starts have been pretty good this year, so it all just fell right in position and right where I belong.
Open up to the media. Go ahead.
Kellen Bauer with Racetracks. Justin Cooper, for you, not the first week that you wanted either. A lot of guys talked about setup after the first round and maybe missing the mark a little bit. For you, did you go back and do a lot of work on that this week, or was it just like, wash that away and start over again this week?
Yeah, I think it was just from the beginning. I didn't gel with the track, and I was really struggling the whole weekend. So it was definitely an off weekend for me. Tried my best, and yeah, I was definitely chasing setup the whole time. But I think everyone else was too. So just put that one behind me. New weekend, try to do better.
I had a question for. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
NBC Sports for Joe. The last 2 weekends, you've been a little surprised by being on getting the Kawasaki streak extended. Not sure that you had the overall. Are you also a little bit surprised that you're now the number one seed going into this race?
I mean, yeah, for sure. Having a red plate is one of my dreams, and I think, yeah, just amount of people that supported me get here. Yeah, I'm just happy for them as well. I think that I'm racing not by myself, and that's something that shows on the bike. It's really cool.
And for Hayden, you share the points lead. You've got the red plate. Probably not quite as surprised, but do you think of yourself as one of the favorites now, or the favorite?
I mean, yeah, my goal is just to keep the red plate. Last time I lost it after one round, so that's we're going to try and keep it this time.
I had a question for Tom Vial. All season long, you've had to learn new tracks, adapt to new conditions as you learn more and more about life in America. Last weekend, we heard those types of comments from all the competitors, different types of track, different types of conditions where they had to learn the motorcycle again. Do you feel like that helped you, having to adapt each weekend? It was just another one of those weekends where all of the other riders, there was a lot of new thrown at them?
To be honest, I don't know. Like, it was new for everyone, but I just felt great straight away from the Friday after the practice on the track, and it was just a good day. I had a great start and felt great on the bike all day long, so it was nice to be on the podium for the first race.
Tom, I was going to ask, in MXGP, there are events at traditional motocross tracks. We've also seen the flyaway races, as we call them, where they kind of build up a man-made motocross track. Did any of that experience you have help last week or maybe this week?
Yeah, to be honest, when we go to like some overseas GP, it looks a lot like that. Like when we go to Indonesia or some other race in Brazil or whatever, it's built on the asphalt and then they put some dirt. So it looks a little bit like that track, but it's going to be new like for everyone. Looks more fast than last weekend, a little bit less supercross, more like motocross, but let's see today how it's going to go.
Go ahead, Jim Kimball.
Jim Kimball for Motocross Action. Jordan Smith, you looked fantastic last weekend in North Carolina. I know that was your first race back in quite some time. Obviously, you haven't lost any speed and you're fit. Talk about that race and what it meant to maybe one motor. You had a bad start, but to finish like you did.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, we put in a lot of work. Even, as soon as I got hurt, I was back on the bicycle and just getting ready for this. So got a bad start in the first one, but I felt like it was the better ride of the two, the first moto was. So, yeah, it felt good, built some confidence. It was good to get back out racing with the guys and try and get 2 good starts this weekend and put it in the top 5 again.
I'm going to slide right next to you there. Levi, I know the goal when you get out front in a race is to win the moto. Turns out, were you a little under the weather last week? Were you not feeling 100% to try to finish that one off?
Yeah, no, I definitely I mean, it didn't really catch me by surprise, but I got out front and then, yeah, like halfway through, started feeling pretty crappy, and I think Hayden knew it too, obviously being around the same rig. So, yeah, that was, I mean, I had that 10 minutes in me, and that was about it. Even the second moto, it sucks when you go backwards like that, but, yeah, I'm going to rebound this weekend. I feel a lot better, so, yeah.
This one's for RJ Hampshire, also for you, not maybe the weekend you wanted last weekend. But there's still the double points this weekend and then triple at the finale. Was it easier to kind of put that one behind you, knowing that there's still so much opportunity ahead?
Yeah, I mean, there's bad weekends, and then there's weekends that I had like last where it was like, man, let's just forget about it, move on. Luckily enough, we're going racing here again, this weekend. Double points, like you said. So it didn't hurt too bad. Yeah, just had to get over that. I was lost. I mean, clear as day, I was lost all day. Feel better coming into this weekend, though, and looking for a rebound.
I was going to ask Dylan Schwartz this one, but really, it's the same story for any of you guys. Everybody said the motocross sections are tough with Supercross suspension, but as soon as you have big jumps and a rhythm lane, there's only so much you can do. You've got to kind of run Supercross. What was your experience this week? Is there much you can really change, or do you have to stick with what you had?
Yeah, so last week we kind of went with a Supercross setup just because they had a full rhythm lane, and this weekend it looks more like outdoors. So we kind of went more towards the outdoor setup, but a little more firm just for like the doubles and stuff like that, just for a little more hold up. But yeah, different setup from last weekend, so we'll see how it is.
We have a question in the back.
For Hunter Lawrence, what's your favorite part of the new format SMX racing?
So the favorite part, the breakfast cafe we went to was pretty good this morning. So you go to new places, that's always fun. You know, you get into a bit of a habit, going to the same airports, same hotels and stuff. So that was good this weekend. Who knows, LA might have, you know, some pretty good cafes as well. So maybe the breakfast spots.
That's good. And these are fan questions that we're taking. We never really had this chance to have fans be involved with the press conference before. Do we have any more back there? In the meantime, I'm going to ask Pierce Brown, same thing I just asked Schwartz. Do you just got to set it and leave it and just deal with it, or are there some things you could actually take away from last week to try to make the ride a little easier on you?
Yeah, last week I think all of us were kind of stuck with the Supercross setting just because of the rhythm. Everything else was a little harsh with just how outdoorsy it was, but this week looks a lot different. So I think you're going to find a lot of guys playing with setup and just trying to find whatever works out there. Just like last weekend, it's going to be a big day today to figure out what we're going to run tomorrow. But yeah, should be a good weekend.
Do you anticipate, I mean, is it big changes? Like, is there a chance the motorcycle you're on today is quite a bit different tomorrow? Are you guys prepared for that if that's what you learned today?
We try not to make those big changes. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a pretty close setup tomorrow as we do today, but there's got to be some fine tuning to it, so we're going to play with that today.
Got another fan question? Go ahead.
Hayden Deegan, are you going to send it this weekend?
Yeah, that's what I live by. So, yep, we're gonna send it.
That's cool. Trying to see. Oh yeah, Max Volan, same thing. Last week, everybody probably comes in with expectations. I could do well at this. Were you happy the way it went, or did it become a learning experience for you?
Yeah, I wasn't too happy with my result. I felt a lot comfortable. We really hit the setup good in that last moto. Just I struggled with starts, and on that track it was kind of tight and hard to pass on, and it was just a train of guys really. And I feel like this weekend it's a lot more open, a lot faster, longer lap times, and a little bit more outdoorsy, which is kind of my style. So yeah, I'm kind of taking a different route. I'm going to throw the outdoor suspension on and go with it, and yeah, I think it's going to work, and I think we'll see some better passing, some better racing.
A question for Hayden. Last weekend, obviously the first moto went incredibly well. You win. And then the second moto, I noticed you went to the very inside gate on the left side. And I wasn't sure what the strategy was there. Did you like the gate, or were you just trying to get down there first? Just walk us through that gate choice.
Yeah, I thought I could finesse it like I did in the first moto, but clearly not. So, yeah, that wasn't a smart move. We have to be more smart here with not starting where we can get pinched. So, yeah.
Hunter Lawrence, I'm going to ask the same of most of these guys, the bike setup. Did you learn stuff last week that you need to change, or is the track itself different enough where you need to change? Are you on a significantly different setup than you were last week, Hunter?
Yeah, the tracks obviously have such a huge factor on what, you know, bike setup we run and what we can run. Obviously, like the boys were saying, you know, Supercross rhythm sections require Supercross setup, so it looks a lot more, I haven't had a chance to look at the track quite yet, but it looks a little more high speed and not as many Supercross sections, so it looks like we can probably come a little softer with the setup.
Okay, yeah, we'll see how that turns out. There will be riding this afternoon. Do we have one more in the back? I think we're good. All right.
Right here, Weege.
We got one more in the back.
Okay, go ahead.
Name's Tony from Manhattan here. Hey, Hayden, there's a double-double over there before the over-under bridge. Just wondering if you woke up this morning feeling dangerous.
Oh, yeah, I looked at it. It's pretty big. I don't think I'm going to make that one. And running a little softer suspension, I think it hurt pretty bad. So I think we're cutting that one off.
You know, people were saying, though, you did have motocross suspension at Ironman when you jumped the finish line, right? It's doable.
Yeah, that is true. We'll look at it.
Okay. That's going to be it for our 250 riders. Have a round of applause for them. So top 10 in the championship. And we're going to let our 250 riders get geared up to ride at a little past noon. So if media are looking for a one-on-one time, you'll have to try to schedule that with the teams after the riding session. We get ready for our 450 athletes to come on up. We'll do the same thing. These are the riders' top 10 in points based on last week's racing. And JT, really cool actually to come to some new markets. I know Charlotte had been begging for a race. You did race here next door at the drag strip one time. So this area, besides that one race, hasn't seen much.
Well, yeah, 23 years ago, I have a really vivid memory of that week. But no, it's great. I think exposing new venues to not only Supercross and Motocross, but this brand new SuperMotocross dynamic is awesome. We haven't been here in quite a while, but when you look at the turnouts of events like Redbud, it goes to bear that we're going to have a really good turnout tomorrow.
Yeah, and we do have a home track Chicago area native here that we'll talk to in just a moment. When we come to the Chicago area, any of the fans out there a fan of the number 23, Chase Sexton? Little home cooking there. That's what we call cheap heat in the business. So, Chase, how about that? You get to come in here not only off a 1-1, which has got to feel good, but to what essentially would be a home race for you. So it doesn't get much better.
No, I think this is actually about as close as you can get as a pro for a home race. It's, I think, about an hour from where I was born and raised, so it's very special to me. And used to race at a track.
Go for it, yeah.
Used to race at a track about 30 minutes from here on Saturday nights. It's very special, and looking forward to having another good weekend.
Is that track similar to this or no?
No, it's not. It's a night track, which I don't know. We'll see. I haven't seen the track yet, but it looks pretty fast, so it's going to be fun.
I'll open up to the media. Go ahead.
Yeah, Kellen Brower with RacerX. Kenny, for you, new family member this week, so congratulations on that. What's it been like? What's it been like? And then sleepless nights, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it's been great. You know how the whole hospital thing goes. I mean, she did get induced. We did that just so I'm not gone, and then, she's going to give birth without me. So it's a little bit of a process, right, going to the hospital and stuff, but everybody's healthy, everybody's happy, they're home. Good to go. And then I went home after meeting him, and basically went back to the hospital next morning for like 30 minutes and grabbed a flight to come here. But no, it's been great. Like, I'm back here in business, and then of course can't wait to get home and just spend some time with the fam.
And then quickly for you, Cooper, we've heard a lot of people talk about setup from the first round. For you, I think it maybe didn't go how you wanted to. Did you do a lot of setup adjustments this week prepping for this weekend?
Yeah, we did. I think been riding a lot of Supercross, so quickly found out it was a pretty high speed last week. So, yeah, made some adjustments for myself, and looking forward to this weekend, kind of rebounding and getting back closer to the front and being in the mix.
Dan Beaver, NBC Sports. For Aaron, looks like you're 12 points back now. Can you talk about how the double points are going to impact and how that escalating point structure is going to impact how you ride to catch Chase?
Yeah, it's going to definitely play a role. I don't know how it's going to play a role. I mean, obviously it's double points, but we'll see when we get on the track. And then, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm excited for this race. It looks really, really high speed. Last week was a little one line, but at a drag strip, what can you really expect? And then, yeah, I'm pumped to get back behind the gate and hopefully better my starts this week. Last week I had some decent ones, but not whole shots. So we'll see about that. And then, yeah, I'm just stoked.
And for Chase, the other side of that coin is if you get the overall this week, you manage to pad your points lead just a little bit. How do you feel about the escalating points and how it's affecting your effort?
It's definitely interesting. I think it's obviously like that, so it comes down to the final race. I think with it going double then triple points, it really puts a price on winning the race. Obviously, I think it's going to be important to having a good weekend this weekend, just like last. And but also when you go into LA, it's triple points again, so it's going to put a price on winning. And yeah, game plan stays the same, just being on offense and going out there and having fun.
I'm going to ask one of Dylan Ferrandis. Was there something about the SMX that worked for you? It was a great performance. You're on the podium, second in the very first moto. Did you feel that really worked for you? I don't know if it applies to this track, but it was good last weekend.
Yeah, definitely. It was a good race for me. Good to be back on the podium also.
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult also. Mix between motocross and supercross track was not easy, but yeah, obviously was a very, very good day for me.
Do you think those vibes or something you learned can carry over here, or is it just a week to week?
I don't know. I think it's going to be week to week because today the track is very, very different. It's very motocross only pretty much. So I don't know. We need to change the setup of the bike. So you never know. I could feel difference on this type of track. So I think it's going to be after first practice today. We're going to learn a lot. Everybody obviously, and I think we move from there. And yeah, tomorrow is going to be a different race for sure than last week.
Jim Kimball with Motocross Action for Jet Lawrence. Jet, obviously teams have supercross tracks, motocross tracks, but is there a way to prepare for a super motocross track?
I mean, before last weekend, no, we were kind of riding supercross, skipping the whoops really, which no, we never do really, but yeah, now it's a weird, like, I mean, we're riding outdoors and supercross to get the supercross kind of still rhythm feel with your legs, and then you're kind of riding a bit outdoors for the fast feeling. So it's kind of a weird situation. We might change the compound. Instead of 2 supercross tracks, it might be 1 supercross track and a super motocross track now. But yeah, it's definitely a weird way to kind of get ready for the SMX because it's still so new.
Maybe just a quick add-on. What was the biggest kind of takeaway you learned bike setup-wise from Charlotte?
Well, we can't really run our supercross suspension with the high speed and flat turns with the outdoor bumps. We definitely took that away.
Jet, just to follow another question there. Starts, right? We're so used to watching you through Pro Motocross. You were up front most of the time, and then the starts weren't there last weekend. Was it a combination of the drop-down start, different setting? It was just something we weren't expecting from you.
Yeah, I mean, my first start was off the gain side. I think was fine. I mean, in any outdoor situation, I think, or like regular start, I think that would have been a whole shot. But I ended up getting bumped from behind, ended up getting pushed a little wider than I wanted, and my whole shot bar was in. That's always sucks to turn on. But then, yeah, the second one, my reaction was really, really good, but, I mean, this bike just has so much power on that bit harder, slicker stuff. The thing just spins, and I just lost that ground straight away. We kind of were going into the first turn, second last. So I just basically just took it as a breather and just stood up. So, but no, we worked on our starts this week. Didn't do too many to use all my good ones, so hopefully we can just put it into the 2 races tomorrow and just kind of do a race like how I know how to, really.
And for Jet, you've had to put out so much this year to win 2 titles already and to keep that perfect season alive, which we can finally stop asking you about. When you finally take a loss, is it almost refreshing to be back in the position of hunting down instead of having to deal with the pressure of being the guy they're trying to knock off?
No, it freaking sucks. Losing sucks. I don't care who you are. If you think losing is a good refresher, no, it ain't. This thing, that made me go to hell, basically. So, yeah, no, I mean, it's, I think it just lights that, for me, it just lights an even bigger fire. I mean, going perfect in outdoors has kept that fire going, but, I mean, I think losing puts a gas can underneath you and blows you up. So, no, it definitely wasn't much of a reliever, I could say that.
A motivator, definitely a motivator. That's
yeah,
cool.
100%.
Okay.
Question for Chase. Ever since we finished at Ironman, you said how great it's been to be back on a Supercross setting. I'm sure there's some chassis changes you've made there. Now, as we go to Chicagoland here, we get a little bit more to a motocross setup. Will you fundamentally change your setup back towards what you had at Ironman, or would you stick more to what you had at Charlotte?
As far as chassis, probably stays similar to what we had at Charlotte, but I actually rode outdoors on Tuesday with Supercross suspension on, and it's not the ticket. So probably going to go towards somewhat of an outdoor suspension setting, but it's going to be hard because we haven't seen the track. We don't know how it's going to develop, but we'll go after first practice. We'll kind of make an adjustment, and we'll go from there. But chassis, similar or same as last weekend, but probably go to a softer setup because, yeah, after Tuesday, I'm like, this ain't going to work on an outdoor track.
For Garrett, Dan Beaver, NBC Sports, you made the switch from 250s to 450s, made the charge up through the standings, and now you're in the top 10. How gratifying is it that gamble worked?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely wanted to stay 250 through the season. We just had a couple issues through the first 2 rounds, so I think after Hangtown we decided to go the 450 full time, and yeah, it worked out great. I mean, I had a top 10 at Denver, second place, my best finish in outdoors, and so far it's been the best decision I've made so far through the season.
Follow up on that. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, this one's for Jason Anderson. We're going to venues that you guys have never seen before, obviously. So with that, we're getting new dirt as well. How much does that play into what you guys are doing with your setups as well? Has it been a little bit difficult to see these tracks for the first time and deal with the dirt the way that it has been so far?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you go to North Carolina and you're used to that tacky dirt over there. And then over here, obviously, we come from the West Coast, so we're used to riding dry, hard pack, slick stuff. So it's kind of a curveball always traveling from the West Coast to go to the East Coast for us. But yeah, it's new dirt, it's new tracks and everything like that. I think everyone up here has, different setups lined up to see what we are dealt today. So it's kind of tricky, but at the same time we all have to deal with it.
A follow up on that. When you're riding that track last week, was it fun to have a new challenge, or was the challenge so much that you're like, no, this is really a chore to try to figure this all out, trying to do what essentially is a hybrid track?
I think last weekend wasn't too bad. I think obviously we had setups that we softened up a little bit for some of the rougher areas, and we didn't have whoops, so we didn't have to really focus on our setup to be good through those sections. But I think this weekend, just by looking at the track, is going to be a way bigger curveball for us than either of the first round and the Los Angeles one that we have coming up. So it's interesting how we'll attack today, and we'll see who plays it the best tomorrow night.
For Cooper Webb, leading into Anaheim each year, there's a lot of testing. Everyone goes into Anaheim thinking they have their setup dialed in, they're ready to go, they have the starts figured out, and then you leave Anaheim realizing you didn't know very much. You weren't as prepared as you thought. That's how I looked at your weekend a little bit. Brand new team, brand new bike, brand new situation. Is that how it felt like sometimes you just missed the setup at A1 and you have to kind of regroup? Was it similar to that?
Yeah, a little bit of mix. I think last weekend was very start dependent. I felt good throughout the qualifying and stuff like that. So I think it was just kind of been a while since I raced, and for sure you work on things, you learn things, and yeah, I mean typically I've never started off a series great, so looking to build on that. And like you said, I think we learned a lot, and we'll be able to approach things a bit better this weekend.
I think we have a question from the very, very back in the fans section. Do we have someone queued up back there? Go ahead.
Hi, Cooper. This question's for you. This is actually Cooper. We named him after you, so we're pretty big fans. He's just wondering how you like Chicago and how you think you're going to do here tomorrow.
Yeah, appreciate it. So far, so good. The weather's awesome, and track definitely looks like some good dirt, so we'll see what happens. And, yeah, looking to be up top again or closer to the mix, so hopefully put on a good show for you.
We hope to see you up there. I do have a quick question for AP as well. Where do I get a cowboy hat? I've looked all over. I need one. I want one.
We got something in the works, so hopefully I can get it done before next year. And just keep a lookout.
That's cool.
Lurch with Race Day Live. You guys had a lot of anticipation coming into the first race. I'm sure your suspension guys had anxiety. Is there anyone up there that, after the free practice on Friday, literally came back and said you nailed it, or were there some major adjustments for you guys, either too stiff or too soft?
Anybody feel like they nailed it yesterday on Friday? Was anyone like, don't touch this thing?
No.
I didn't think so.
No. Well, I did hear some comments, though, about the changing track conditions between Friday and Saturday. So to me, that's an interesting setup. Is like you could think you had it dialed in on Friday with a harder condition, and then Saturday was so much softer and really wet in qualifying. So big change there as well.
Ken, you're saying you actually were pretty close. You didn't go too crazy on it.
I made the tiniest changes, honestly, and I was pretty good with what I had.
Does that encourage you this week? I know it's a totally different track, but to think like I can adapt because you already did it once.
I mean, I looked at the track, and this reminds me of I want to say an old school Motocross of Nations track, the man-made build. I've raced a bunch of those in my earlier pro careers, and like Franciacorta or Donington Park back in the day, they were all man-made build in the middle of a MotoGP track pretty much, and kind of jumpy, but to me it looks like a full-blown outdoor track. So I'm pretty much set on what I'm going to use.
I'm going to go to Adam Cianciarulo, then I probably get another question. Do we have one? Go ahead. Yep.
Hey, Chase, last weekend you went head-to-head with Kenny. How do you see that going down this weekend?
It's always fun racing Ken. Obviously, we do a lot of practice motos together and are pretty close off the track. So when you have somebody you're that familiar with in front of you or behind you, you kind of not relax, but you know that you're going to get raced fairly. And second moto, I saw him out front, and I'm like, man, he's getting a little bit too far for my comfort. And there was that one rhythm section that really made or broke your lap time. If you could get the 3 over tabletop 3-4, you made up a lot of time, or if you didn't get it, you lost a lot of time. So I saw he missed it a few laps, and I kind of closed the gap, and then obviously got around him, but it was you never know. Kenny, he comes out, and he always comes out swinging. So it's going to be fun this weekend. Obviously, being here in Chicago, looking forward to a good race. But, just excited to go racing head-to-head with him and everybody up here.
$1 million. Last turn. You cleaning them out?
He's going to sign my
I
front wheel
know
up,
what
and I'm gonna
Kenny's
do the same.
answer is.
Had to.
Kenny and Chase, you're back riding together to Sandbox. Didn't you used to hang with them, AC, down there? You get a little FOMO, a little jealousy that the band's back together, but you're not in it right now?
I'm not
AC's
too
been
much
a
of a
clean
jealous
bunch of them.
person, but definitely seeing these guys doing so well up on the podium. We've all been around each other for quite a long time, pretty much our whole career. So definitely would want to get up there and be a part of it.
We're about to see AC take both of them out, not even even if there is no money on it.
Absolutely.
that would help. That would help. Justin Barsha, I'm sure not the weekend you wanted. You were up front early. Take me through how the race transpired after you got those historic first laps led ever in this series.
It was miserable, to be honest. Definitely didn't nail the setup. Arm pump, early on in the race, and then, everyone knows when you get arm pump, it's extremely hard to hold on to the bike. And we were full Supercross suspension, so we unfortunately never nailed it. But this week I went to my motocross suspension on the hybrid motocross Supercross track at MTF. So I feel like I'm in a better position there, and obviously looking at the track, you do need a little hold up on some of these steep Supercross jumps, but the track's going to break down a lot. I kind of look at it almost like a Daytona. It looks like Daytona, but it's really long, a little more speed, so I feel like I'll be in a better position this weekend, just looking to go out there, have some fun. It's a little hard coming back from injury, hitting those 3 outdoors. I feel like I didn't get fully comfortable there, so it's hard, finding the time to do the testing and get comfortable and do all that, but I'm just happy to be back racing, and looking forward to the race this weekend. I know everyone's going for it hard, having a lot of fun, so be good.
Hey, Chase Sexton, I heard you on Pulp MX on Monday night. We were trying to figure out last week, are these 2 long Supercross mains, 2 20-minute Supercross mains, or is it 2 shorter motos? Which was it going to feel like physically? You mentioned something interesting, trying to do that big rhythm, not seat bouncing it, and how much a load that is in your legs that you wouldn't get in motocross. So overall, what did it feel like last week? A really big load physically, or 10 minutes less than a typical motocross race?
I think it really depends on the track layout. I think last weekend with that rhythm section, standing up, going into that, trying to get the pop off that was a lot of load on your legs. The rest of the track was not too bad, but that one section you really had to put a lot of effort in. So I actually went on a bike ride on Monday with Ken and Tom. I'm like, man, I'm more sore than I have been, I don't know, in a couple months. So I didn't expect it just because it is a shorter race, but it's just a different muscle group, really. And then this track, with it being more open, it could play like an outdoor race. So I don't know. It just really, I think, depends on the track. But then you got Coliseum next weekend, tighter. So that could be like a long Supercross or 2 long Supercross mains.
We got another fan question. Go ahead. Yep.
What's up, guys? Hey, more of a question, but need some action here. Can I get hands for whoever's winning this thing tomorrow? Oh, dang. And
we got one.
Leading into that question, you going to pull it off, buddy? You going to get back on the top step?
I'm gonna try my butt off to make sure I can. I mean, the guys up here, they're riding great, and still definitely new for me, racing these guys on a tighter track on outdoors. I mean, I have a lot more room to move around and do what I want to do. where in these layouts it's kind of a lot more tighter. So we're going to have to see how the track is. I haven't quite seen it yet, but I know Chase and Kenny and rest of the lads definitely ain't going to make it easy. So it's going to be a fun one, but we're definitely going to try our best.
There you go. I think, Jet, some of us are worried that after 2 titles going 9 months straight that it would be hard to get up for these races, but it doesn't sound like that's a problem after last week. You're fired up and motivated and strong enough, even if it's already 9 months in the books.
I mean, after Ironman, yes, it very was. I didn't want to do anything. But, I mean, after losing, I think that motivates anyone.
You guys pumped on Jet Lawrence make a little comeback this weekend? Some fans be pumped on that? That's cool. Garrett Marchbanks, you are a privateer team, really. You do get some help from Yamaha, but not all the factory parts. So what's it like for you to be top 10, to be on this stage with everybody else who's on the full teams? What is that like for you and your team?
No, it's big for all of us. I mean, we're not the big budget team like we are, and you know, these guys put in a lot of work for me and the whole team. You know, I'm super proud of them. You know, all I could do for them is just ride the best I can, and yeah, that's about it.
And now that you've tried this 450 on somewhat Supercross, does this give you some ideas for the future or where you might want to be? Because you've only been a 250 indoor rider as far as we've seen.
You know, I've definitely thought about this past 3 weeks about going full-time, but, you know, I still have some unfinished business in the 250 class, so I'm definitely going to stay in there.
I think that's it for questions from the crowd. I think that's it for questions from our athletes. Yeah, I think we're good. All right, round of applause, everybody. This is going to be a really fun afternoon and evening. Thank you to our top 450 riders. What a group. It was awesome to know that pretty much everyone that qualified within that top 20 was able to make it and race Charlotte. We had a good, clean race last weekend. Didn't lose any of these athletes due to injury. So now that everybody has a little bit better idea to what to expect and is motivated, we should have some great racing tomorrow. The coolest part, JT, is we learned so much last week, but I don't think we still know really anything with this track.
No, I was out on the track earlier, and it is very different, really fast. It's much more motocross than even I think these guys. Some of the guys Hunter Lawrence mentioned he hadn't got to look at the racetrack yet. He's going to be very surprised at how much motocross is incorporated into this racetrack. So again, I think we're going to be into this setup thing that transpires throughout the weekend.
We'll learn as much as we can. They're going to ride this afternoon. A reminder to all the fans, we'll have a show right here on this stage. JT and I, joined by some special guests at 6 o'clock tonight, right here on this stage. So when you're done watching the riding, getting your autographs, come on back and bench race with us at 6 o'clock. We'll tell you everything we learned from today's riding sessions. We'll also have pit bike racing taking place, practice, and then racing will start at 7 p.m. tonight after our live show. So come on back to Garage 4 at 6 p.m. Don't hang out at the camper. Bench race with us. We'll see you then for SuperMotocross Insider Live at 6. Enjoy the riding. Enjoy your autographs, everybody.